Today's edition of Elko Live is a day we go outdoors with our conservation educator, Julie Gabrielson from Nevada Department of Wildlife. And Julie, welcome back.
Good. Good day. I don't know what time it is right now.
I know. Good
Hello.
day. Hello, everybody.
It's already the end of April.
It's the end of April. We are sliding into official spring and summer. I mean, there's fishing, hiking, hunting. It's all happening.
It's all happening, and it's happening pretty quick, and people are excited to get out because we've had some pretty decent weather, and we're going to get hit again because that's just the Elko way. But yeah, it's beautiful weather outside. I mean, early mornings and the evenings, it's all just great right now.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And we want to encourage and remind people, we have this beautiful backcountry, wonderful recreation, whether you're into wildlife watching or you're into hunting, fishing, whatever it might be. We're all good stewards. We need to take care of our lands and protect our private and public access.
Absolutely. And there's lots of stuff that goes into that. And, we really try to do everything that we can on multiple different levels to be able to go out there and really just enjoy it and take out what you brought in and sometimes what other people brought in and didn't take out, and just doing our little part.
Yep, even if it's a gum wrapper, it makes a difference.
It does.
So you had the recent sage grouse experience, right?
We did, and more so right now. So we finished up our sage grouse experience on Friday, the 18th of April is when we had that. We had about 30 participants, and the way that works is they meet us at the office, and we all jump on a big bus, and we travel out to a lek, very bright and early in the morning, and everybody offloads, and on the side of this, we're probably a couple hundred yards off the lek, and everybody gets to see the birds doing their mating dance out there. It's always a great experience, and we always fill up onto, with the capacity that we set for it. After the fact, they load back up on the bus, they come back to the office, and we sit down, and there's some presentations by some of our biologists, as well as a delicious breakfast, and just a good time. And so we have to give a big thanks to some of our partners. Department of Wildlife, obviously we're involved with that, but Northern Nevada Stewardship Group, as well as the Friends of the Ruby Mountains, also take a key role in helping us with planning that event.
And this is really the doorstep to getting more volunteers, right? To recruiting people, because the work doesn't stop.
Exactly. That's initially how the Sage Grouse experience started, was using it as a tool to recruit more volunteers. And that's fallen off a little bit, but we normally still gain 1 or 2 volunteers out of the experience for the upcoming year. So a sage grouse lek, if you're not familiar with what that is, it's a communal breeding ground where birds return year after year, and it is ingrained in them. Even if the area has experienced a burn or some kind of a disruption, they will still come back to that same area until they just don't anymore. And it's really incredible to see the distance that they'll come back. And they also nest nearby that same lekking area. But they will always come back to that area. And it's really kind of cool to see just how much that is. But right now we're almost to the end of our current lekking season. And volunteers, we always ask for volunteers with that because there's so many leks out there, and only so many biologists, and it is statewide. So those lek count surveys, they're done really early in the morning because the grouse are typically up and starting to do their thing. It's not uncommon to start hearing them a half hour or even earlier than sunrise. And then they'll go, an hour or two after sunrise, depending on the lek and the activity, the attendance of the females. They might even go a little bit longer than that. Sometimes it gets flushed out really quick because a predator comes through or something along those lines. But that's the general idea of it. And there's usually a lot of mileage that's involved in that. So far this season, we've had 26 volunteers that have reported over 600 hours towards our lek counts and 9,000 miles. Yeah, it's really impressive. So if this is something that kind of piques your interest and something that you want to do, we're pretty much wrapping up for this season, but we're always looking for volunteers for the next season, which will begin typically late February to March of 26 is when we'd be looking for that. So if you've got some questions about volunteering, whether it be this particular program or something else that we might offer, you can call Nicole Hamlin, and she's at 775-777-2388.
Great. Thanks, Julie. A wonderful opportunity again to help preserve and observe this species, certainly the sage grouse. Very important going forward, an indicator species, if you will, too. And then we come to this Save Cummins Lake Pike Out. This is really a popular event, as we're seeing by the previous attendance.
It is, and it's coming to be one of those that people are even calling us and asking, okay, when's it going to be this year? So May 3rd at Cummins Lake down out of Ely. You can join us. This is only our second time, believe it or not, but we're still getting, we still get quite a bit of interest in it. And northern pike are actually, they're an aquatic invasive species, and they have incredibly detrimental effects on the Cummins Lake fishery. With this event, we're calling on anglers to help us fish out the northern pike from the lake. And last year we had a great year as far as attendance and everything, but the fish weren't really showing up. We'd had a weather system come through the day before and the morning of, and it just really slowed the fishing down considerably. And we still caught a couple of nice pike out on that day, but it wasn't what we were really hoping for. So we're hoping this year we get just that little bit better weather, and the pike are hitting a little bit harder. This is a registration event that we ask for because we separate everybody into age group categories because there's prizes at the end of the day. We offer first, second, and third place prizes for heaviest fish caught as well as the most pike caught. So there's still some space available. It is going to close soon because that's only a couple days away at this point. But again, you can call Nicole Hamlin at 775-777-2388 for registration information and find out if there's still availability.
Awesome. That's the second annual Save Cummins Lake from the Pike. And just a quick reminder where Cummins Lake is. Is it easy to get there, Julie?
It is. It's right off of 93, just south of Ely.
Okay.
You can't miss it. The water is right there. If you just keep heading south out of Ely on 93, you'll drive right by it.
Perfect. And a chance to win some cool prizes. And then, oh my gosh, this is exciting. The Cave Creek Reservoir has officially reached capacity, right?
It has. Yep. Cave Lake is now spilling over. We reached full capacity several weeks ago with the completion of the dam project. The reservoir and all the systems are functioning correctly, is what we're being told. And so we're really excited about that. We are actively working to rebuild and enhance the fishery itself. And over the course of the next couple months before summer, we expect to stock approximately 17,000 fish into it. We did do a stocking. I believe it was last week that we did our initial stocking, and we'll continue to do several more over the next couple of months.
And again, just to remind people, where is Cave Lake?
Cave Lake, if you drive a little bit further past Cummins Lake on 93, you'll see the turnoff off of 93, and it will take you up to Cave Lake State Park, where there's campgrounds as well as the reservoir itself. And we are having a grand reopening, a Rediscover Cave Lake event. That's going to happen on Saturday, June 7th. It's going to feature a full day of outdoor activities, some entertainment, some family-friendly fun. NDOW is going to host a fishing clinic down there. Again, that is something that we do need you to register for because we're bringing equipment down for it. So it's going to be a full day on June 7th with all kinds of good stuff to welcome Cave Lake back.
That's great. All of the wonderful recreation areas that we can enjoy. And this is the Eastern District of Department of Wildlife. You have a big territory.
We have a very big territory. Yeah. I mean, I think ultimately all three regions are pretty big in general. But yeah, it does seem like it's really big, doesn't it?
And it belongs to all of us, which is the cool thing.
Yeah.
All the wildlife and, of course, all these beautiful areas. And then rolling right into hunter education, Julie.
Hunter education, yes. So the tag application deadline is May 7th, and that's coming and approaching very fast. We have one class left for hunter education, and that's May 3rd, and that'll be held at the Endo office. You do need to register for that, and we do still have some room for attendees for that class. You can find more information on register-ed.com, and then if you just search Nevada, you'll be able to pull up any of the hunter education classes available. And that is a statewide website. So when you get into there, make sure that you're looking for the area that you're looking for, whether it be Winnemucca or Vegas or Reno or the Elko area, to make sure that you're not signing up for a class that may be 200 miles away.
Yeah, that's not convenient.
No.
So what's this I see about an arrow building class?
It's a brand new class, and I'm excited. I'm super excited, and we kind of planned it for after applications, and it even happens after the announcement of who's drawn what tags, thinking that people might want to learn how to build their own arrows, because arrows can be pretty expensive to purchase and have built for you. So on June 4th, from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Endo office, we're going to be offering the arrow building class. We're going to provide everything but the arrow shaft. We have all of the cutting tools, and registration will open pretty soon. Here in the next week or so is when the registration will open for that. So all you'll need to bring is your bow and your arrow of choice. And then we'll help you build it to what you want as far as colors and different fletchings and wraps. And we'll even help you cut it to the correct draw length, which is why we need you to bring your bow. So we're really excited, and I'm excited to see how this goes. This is the first time that we've offered it, and it'll be fun to see how it goes.
That's great. Julie Gabrielson is our conservation educator, and you can tell she is big into archery, and thank goodness, because you are obviously helping encourage a future generation of archers in the community.
Yes, and I got to say, we host our Tuesday archery classes over at the Flagview Auxiliary Gym. We meet the first and third Tuesday of every month during the school year. We're about wrapping up this year, but as part of this, in the NAS program, there's tournaments throughout the year. Nevada held their state tournament back at the beginning of March. And the qualifiers from those tournaments, the top 10 in each division and category, qualifies to go to the Western National Tournament. That's actually happening this weekend. And we have one student from Ely that qualified, and one student from our Elko homeschool group, and one student from Flagview that qualified. So they're going to go and shoot in the Western National Tournament this weekekend.
Congratulations. That is super cool. That's a lot to be proud of, Julie.
It's really neat to see them grow and really develop the love of any of the sports that we put out there in any of the events. And so it definitely is. It's neat to see it.
Thanks, of course, to Nevada Department of Wildlife for helping head up these efforts. A lot of what we talk about is absolutely free of charge. You want to use the quads that God gave you. Is that what we say sometimes to get out and enjoy your hiking and your outdoor experiences? But and if not, if you don't have gear, sometimes they can have these classes or courses where you can sample something. A lot of ongoing education and gearing up for the spring fishing season.
Absolutely. And, to your point, a big part of why we provide all the equipment in a lot of these programs is for people that have never done it before, and they're really curious about it, but they're not sure that they want to put the money into it yet. And that way we can get them out there, we can give them some experience, and they don't have to put the money out yet. Once we get them hooked, then that's a whole nother story. And that way they can go and experience it and have no cost.
Yeah, it's so important to the local economy, all these outdoor activities, whether it's just plain old recreation, camping, family fun, or really getting into things like fly fishing, for example, or boating. I mean, here we are. We're ready to start putting the boats in.
It is that time. So our spring fish stocking, we talked about Cave Lake and the stocking happening there. It's in full swing for the whole eastern region. The refuge out in Ruby Valley, South Fork, Jakes Creek Reservoir, Tonkin, Willow Creek, they've all been been stocked or will be very soon. Other than the high lakes in the East Humboldt and the Rubies, all area lakes and reservoirs are open. There's no more ice on them. Boat ramp opened on Monday at Wild Horse, and the dock is in. And boaters in the canyon section, we do advise you near the dam to use extreme caution when you're out there. There's still debris in the water from when that semi truck crashed a little bit late back in the winter. So the cleanup efforts, they are underway, and they started last week, but they're going to continue into the next couple of weeks to try to get all of that out of there. So just be aware that might be something that you run into.
All right. And then, of course, our biologists have been at work all winter, and they're going to have some reports for us on how the big game fared the winter.
Yeah. So our above average precip from the 23-24 winter, coupled with the mild winter that we've had this year, it's led to some really exciting results is what, that's what they're super excited about what they've seen. So our bios in the eastern region, they classified 16,976 deer this spring, yielding a ratio of 41 fawns to 100 adults. That's the highest regional fawn ratio since 2000. Then we also classified 11,839 pronghorn in the survey season, and that yielding age and sex ratios of 49 bucks to 100 does with 47 fawns. That effort, it's the highest sample size ever. It's the highest fawn ratio size since 1980 and the highest buck ratio since 1972. So those two winners were really what a lot of our wildlife needed to come back. It's really just exciting. And I can only imagine being in those helicopters with them and seeing all of it and being able to look at all the numbers and how exciting it was for them.
Yeah, despite some of the challenges, as you talked about, whether it's fire or drought, or it's thrilling to see that our wildlife are able to thrive.
It is. I mean, because we still have those struggles, and there's definitely still barriers for them out there, but it's really nice to see that there's some comeback coming. Our 25-26 Nevada Big Game season and the applications book, they are out. They're available online or in any of the offices. Some things to remember when if you haven't put in for your tags yet and you're still working through all of those numbers, the quotas that are listed in that book, those are from last year. So those are just kind of a guideline and a reference to use when you're applying for this year. Our Elko cab meeting is happening on the 29th of April, Tuesday the 29th. And then the actual quotas for the 25-26 hunting seasons, those won't be established until May 2nd and 3rd at the State Board of Wildlife Commissioners meeting, and that'll take place in Reno.
Okay, good to know. And there are plenty of opportunities, again, to weigh in on some of these issues. As you know, the Elko cab meeting is a good opportunity to do that.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, they're all public meetings, and we want to hear you. We want to hear your opinions, your thoughts, your suggestions. We want to hear it.
Absolutely. And it's important to keep in mind the biologists, they're doing the work. They're helping to inform decisions, give people the information they need. But for the most part, it's important for the community to realize that our biologists and our team at NDOW, you have to stay out of the political fray. You kind of leave that up to the people that have real passionate feelings about some of these issues.
Well, and you know, the CAB and the commission, they're the ones that set the regulations. And so when NDOW themselves do not set the regulations. So it's really important that the public has an input on that.
Yep. So that's why we remind you of these opportunities. And so operations, that's a lot of this. And I've been out I picked up one of the grab and go kits for a neighbor recently. And they're so nice, your staff there at NDOW offices on Youth Center Road. They're so enthusiastic.
We've got a great group out there. We really do.
I know.
They're really great. And, you know, Natalie and Sydney up front, this is definitely their busy time of year between applications and boating, because boating's picking up. So they're doing a lot of boating registrations, and the office picks up quite a bit this time of year for them. So they're still, I mean, it doesn't matter how busy they are. They're still such great people to work with, and they're always pleasant and smiling and having a good day, and it's really cool.
Yeah, they never know what's going to walk in the door. Someone with a question about a snake or about a boat or whatever it might be. So
you just don't know.
All right. So, we should mention too, no OHV registration or inspection with NDOW.
Yeah, so we got all kinds of stuff for them too. Yeah, May 7th, reminder, May 7th is our last day for applications, for the big game applications. And you must have a current and active license at the time of the draw to accrue the bonus points for the year. Google Chrome is the best platform to use for that, and that's the website for that is ndowlicensing.com. A buyer beware. Don't buy a boat without a title. Yard sale boats, they're notorious for not having a title. If you've got questions, call Natalie or Sydney at the office, 777-2300, and they'll walk you through, with suggestions and what the possibility is of getting something titled that doesn't have one.
So it's not yard art.
So it's not yard art. Yep. You can actually use it after you buy it. So the out-of-state vessels and those purchases from a business or dealership must have the tax paid through the Department of Taxation, and that's through the Nevada Department of Taxation. You can also visit My Nevada Tax for more information, or again, you can call the office because they're always willing to help you out with your questions. And to your point, OHV, we don't handle the OHV registration or inspections. That is done through the DMV.
Oh, right. And law enforcement obviously is going to be out helping to create a safe environment and make sure the lands are respected as well as the wildlife. And shed hunting is opening right up.
It is. It's coming in pretty fast. Our shed, we do have a shed season now. We are closed January 1st through April 30th for several counties in the northeastern part of the state. But May 1st, Thursday, May 1st is when it all opens back up. But you do have to pass the new shed hunting ethics test. And I say new, but it's really actually a couple years old now. It is a free test. It's online. You can find it through our Get Certified, our licensing website, ndowlicensing.com, or on the ndow.org and go through that. It's a fairly quick test to go through and print off the certificate and have it with you while you're out there. You do need that certificate to be out there shed hunting between May 1st and June 30th. So another thing to remember when you're out there with the shed hunting and getting out there into those public lands, the OHV use on public lands, you mentioned earlier, use the quads God gave you. Don't create new roads, stay on the existing roads, and just be really respectful of the land out there, because whenever we start creating those new roads and new areas, we're tearing apart more of the wildlife habitat and just the habitat in general. So also keep in mind that while we've been pretty dry the last couple of weeks, if we get any kind of precip, it could potentially get pretty muddy pretty fast, and you don't want to get stuck out there.
Yeah, you can get mired in the axles. I mean, it can take all day to dry out. And even then, you may not get out on your own.
Correct.
So, so just be safe. Make sure you let folks know if you are venturing out where you're going, when you plan to return, be prepared, all that stuff with the food, the clothing, just in case you have to stay overnight, and know that cell phones don't always reach.
They don't.
Yes.
They do not. And we know that better than a lot of places, because we've got some spots that you would think that there's plenty of service, and there just is none.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it is important, too, as people are getting their boats out, know what's required for your vessel, because you don't want to get out there and get into trouble.
Yeah. And the biggest thing is your life jackets. Those PFDs they're required for all passengers on board. 12 and under are required to actually wear them. But for those that are 12 and over and have chosen not, or 13 and over that have chosen not to wear them, they need to be easily accessible. Don't have them tucked away in a tote under a chair somewhere. Have them readily available. So if there is an event that you need to be able to quickly throw something out to somebody, you're not struggling to find it.
And then if you are venturing out, it's also a good reminder to respect private property. Important to note in Nevada, it doesn't have to be posted to be private. It's the responsibility of the person venturing out to know where to go.
Yes, and it is, there's checkerboards everywhere.
Exactly.
So
it can be confusing.
It can be. And there's lots of resources out there now, and digital resources, where you can even download those online maps to where when you don't have service, you can still see those areas pretty decently. So it's a good idea to know those even before you head out, and to prepare ahead of time by downloading those maps, or at least, getting a good idea of where your general area is going to be, and respect that private property and recreate responsibly.
Yeah. And if you find leave the gate the way you found it, right? That's the other rule.
Yes.
Yeah. For ranching and all the other access issues that we have. And then this is the time of year where we see lots of baby wildlife.
Baby wildlife is happening. I actually have a cottontail nest in my barn right now that I found over the weekend. And so it's happening, and it's coming pretty quick.
Well, they found the right spot.
They did.
Yes.
Yeah. I know, just to keep the dogs out of it, I've had to create a nice little barrier for it. So baby birds, the biggest thing, that's probably the biggest one that we see, is the baby birds. Leave them alone. If you come across one, leaving them alone is their best chance for survival. Most of the baby birds that people find are called fledglings. Those baby birds, they've just left the nest, but they can't actually fly yet. They're still under the care of their parents, and they really do not need our help. Fledglings, they're feathered and they're capable of hopping or even kind of just jumping and flitting around. And they have toes that, like, if you were to pick it up, it would griply tight your finger, or it would tightly grip your finger, or even a twig, if you see it sitting and hanging onto a branch or something. They're generally adorable and fluffy, and everybody wants to, help them and play with them. And they even have like a tiny stub of a tail. But those fledglings, when they leave their nest, they rarely return to the nest itself. So even if you see the nest, just don't put them back into it, because it's likely that they're just going to hop right back out of it, and you're going to find it back in a similar space. There's usually not any reason to intervene beyond putting the bird on a nearby perch, out of harm's way from pets, or if it's in the middle of the road, maybe push it off the side of the road, that type of a thing. But ultimately, you want to leave it alone. The parents are attending to them, and they typically will have 4 or 5 others that they're attending to, and they're typically scattered. And so their best chance to find them again, to continue that care, is to just leave them where they are. So watch from a distance, and make sure that the parents are returning to care for the fledglings.
And know that there are lots of ways that you can volunteer, whether with your family or a civic group or a business, because there are surveys that are being done pretty much consistently now.
There are, and this particular one coming up is through the Audubon Society, and it kicks off the Intermountain West Shorebird Surveys. And we participate in it. We're actually one of the fewer states that still continues to participate in it. But it's a resurvey of over 100 wetland sites across the West, originally surveyed about 30 years ago. And the surveys provide a snapshot of the shorebirds during the spring migration, which gives us a picture of the condition of those wetlands. And it's a great comparison to the previous survey results. So we'll see how those are coming along here in another month or so, and hopefully have some update on how those are resulting. We've also got an interest in the Pinyon Jay observations. So you can learn more about that bird by visiting the Great Basin Bird Observatory website. And you can help submit the observations through their app or the eBird app, because we're just watching this bird the last couple of years, and we're wanting to see where we're seeing them the most, where they how they're doing, what kind of numbers that we have out there of them.
Yeah, we used to have so many. They're just a beautiful Great Basin bird. So anything to help, encourage that population, that would be great. Mm-hmm. Well, May 10th is also a special day in the world of birds.
It is the World Migratory Bird Day. It's a special day to celebrate all of our incredible birds and help protect them as well. We're focusing on making cities, villages, towns, communities, from rural to urban, a more bird-friendly environment. So in 2025, they'll raise awareness about the challenges of migratory bird faces due to human activities and the expanded urban development. The campaign, it's going to advocate for strategic urban planning and conservation efforts that incorporate bird-friendly practices, which makes sure that our communities basically become a safe haven for these birds while they're traveling. In 2025, they actually have a theme that encourages action from all sectors, including the national, local governments, businesses, community groups, and even individuals, and it's worldwide.
Wow, that's a wonderful effort. And again, all of these groups can be connected through our, wonderful social media, as well as the things that you can find online. Plus, we have a very active local group with the Bristlecone group.
We do. We've got some great birders out there. And for more information on the World Migratory Bird Day, you can go to migratorybirdday.org is where you can find out more information on that event itself.
That's great. Julie Gabrielson, our guest today. She is Nevada Department of Wildlife Conservation educator. I mean, as always, we cover a lot of territory, but we just want to remind people that, whether you're a lifelong, passionate outdoors person, or maybe you're new to the community, because we really want to encourage people. That's why Endell's working with the city and developing an urban fishery, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. We want people to get out and enjoy the outdoors so that we continue to care for it in the future.
Yep. Yeah. And we want want to make it as enjoyable and affordable for them, which goes back to our education programs and providing the free equipment and helping to get people out there and experience new things for especially the first or second time. Before they get out there and put a ton of money into it and decide, no, that one's just not for me. Let me try this one instead. So it's all about getting people out there. We want you to be out there enjoying it because there is so much to see and do out there.
Julie, thanks again for your time. We appreciate it. Everything we talked about can be found most likely at endow.org or, of course, your fantastic YouTube channel with amazing videos.
YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, we post all of this on there and really try to keep it as current as we possibly can, especially with the social media. But there's lots of resources on YouTube. You can see the commission meetings on YouTube as well as educational programs. And then Facebook is a great place to see all of our events coming up and get more information on those.
All right. So take pride and enjoy the ownership that we have and the diversity in our beautiful backcountry and the landscape that we all cherish. Julie, thanks for helping to spread the great word.
Thank you.